Warning, the following podcast is intended for mature audiences only. Listener discretion is advised. If you are sensitive to any content or subject matter in films, I recommend looking up this film on doesthedogdie.com. It is a user-based database of extensive content warnings for pretty much every film you can think of. It basically gives you a heads up to all the potentially triggering topics a movie might have. Check it out and take care of yourself. Welcome back to We Creeps. I'm your host, Evan Exhumed. And just like before, every week I summarize and review a different horror film for people who are a little too squeamish or easily spooked to watch them, but still really enjoy the plot and often end up looking them up on Wikipedia or Googling the ending explained. We, of course, welcome horror movie fans all the same. And today we have our season 2 finale, Talk to Me, which was directed by Michael Philippou and Danny Philippou, and written by Danny Philippou and Bill Hinsman. It stars Sophie Wilde, Alexandra Jensen, Joe Bird, Otis Donji, Miranda Otto, Zoe Tarakes, and Chris Alazio. I gotta say, this is probably one of the best horror films of 2023, if not the best. I will be doing a top 10 at the end of the year, so look forward to that. But there's just something about this. It's just the writing, the visuals, just the way that it hits you in so many different ways, the gore. And it's very tasteful. It's not something that's just all over the place. When it's used very well, similarly to something like Hereditary or Midsommar. And I loved this movie. It's also an A24 film, so I'm kind of a sucker for those, but otherwise, yeah, this is just, if you can stomach this film, I highly recommend go seeing it. If you can find it in theaters, I think it's in that limbo state, which is kind of funny for what we're about to be talking about, but it is in that limbo state between streaming and theater, so you might be able to find it, but otherwise, just wait for it to come out on stream. With all of that said, let's go ahead and get started on the 2023 mega banger, Talk to Me. The film opens up at a big house party in Australia. The setting is Australia. And this character named Cole is looking for his brother Duckett. He's searching around through the whole party. He's very erratic and upset. He's worried about his brother. And he finally finds his brother locked in a room. And so he breaks down the fucking door. He just shoulders it and pulls his brother out. His brother's looking all fucked up. Looks like he's done some self-harm or something. And his brother just all of a sudden pulls out a knife from the kitchen as they're walking out and just stabs his brother a fuck ton of times. And everyone starts freaking out, screaming, running away. And then Duckett, the brother who's all fucked up, gets that knife and just sort of stabs himself in the face, killing himself. And the way that this knife looks like it's being stabbed into him, like that one shot, it's almost like his arm was possessed. Cue the title card, Talk to Me. We're then introduced to our main character, Mia. She's at a funeral and not for Duckett. I was very confused when I first watched this movie, but this is for her mother, actually. Her mother just passed, and so she's looking very somber and very sad, and she then gets a phone call from her best friend's little brother, Riley. So I guess his sister, Jade, who is Mia's best friend, yes, I know there's a lot of names, so just stay with me, didn't have time to pick him up, so he calls his sister's best friend, and Mia's a homie. And so she pulls up and she gives Riley a ride. They start heading home. They're singing, they're bonding. This was confusing enough when I first watched the film that I thought that they were actually siblings. So if you thought the same thing too, don't worry about it. It is a little vague at first. While they're moving and grooving, they end up encountering a kangaroo that is nearly dead. It's just on the road dying. And Riley looks at Mia and says, well, you got to put it out of its misery. Just drive over its head or something. And, I am also kind of squeamish when it comes to that stuff. And Mia is also squeamish when it comes to that kind of stuff. So she just says, fuck that. And she tries to do it at first, but then she just decides not to. And she just says, oh, somebody else will come. And I get that. That's a really hard situation to be in. I don't know. Maybe I'm just a city boy, but I get it. So Mia and Riley end up at Riley and Jade's house, the siblings. And I guess Jade was just vibing and chilling on the bed and had her headphones in and totally forgot to pick up her brother. Not a very good sister, if you ask me. That's kind of rude. However, we learned that the scene in the beginning is actually not a funeral. It's actually the 2-year anniversary for Mia's mom's death. which is extremely confusing because everyone like showed up in black and it looked like a funeral. And I don't know. Kind of weird. It's just a weird writing choice to have it be that like confusing and unclear and like kind of all over the place. We also learned that Jade is dating a boy named Daniel. I guess Mia also used to like hold hands with him when they were like in elementary school. So there's that. We also learned that Jade and Daniel have not done anything intimate despite being together for a little bit now. So, you know, there's some seems like there's some mild resentment from Jade, but the important part of this scene is that we see them looking at a TikTok of what looks like people getting possessed by this hand, which is referred to as like the talk to me hand in common horror circles, I guess. But yeah, so there's this weird hand thing that people are touching and it's causing their eyes to go black and they're getting possessed. And so Mia wants to invite the people who have it, because I guess it's their high school or something, and wants to see if it's bogus or not. We also meet Jade and Riley's mom, who's like, you know, single mom, taking care of 2 kids. She's a little, you know, she's a little spunky, I would say. But overall, she really is close to Mia as well. And she apologizes for not being able to attend the memorial service. And we also learn that Mia is not in a good place with her father. And that's why she spends so much time at her bestie, Jade's house. She ends up talking to Jade and is like, hey, make sure you don't sneak out tonight. And Jade's like, okay, I guess we won't. And then the mom's also like, make sure you shut and lock the door when you sneak out. So she's kind of like a cool mom, but she's also, you know, a little spunky, kind of hard knocks, tell it to you straight kind of mom. Mia, Jade, and Riley then go out to try to find this magical demon spirit hand thing. So they go to this party and we meet another character named Haley, who is one of the owners of the hand. And they are just kind of a dick. I did not like them at all. Great actor, but they are just kind of an asshole this whole movie and my least favorite character. We also meet Joss, who is the co-owner of the hand. Haley and him are just sharing it, I guess. They're the ones who always bring it to these parties. We learn that Haley just really does not like Mia, is kind of annoyed that Jade brought her brother Riley, and it's just, they're just like kind of an asshole. So, party time, it's time to bring out the hand, and Mia is the first to volunteer. They tie Mia up to a chair, and they're like, trust me, you'll need this. And then they explain how it works. Basically, you have 90 seconds. Anything over 90 seconds holding the hand, it's going to be a bad time. You got to light a candle, shut the door, and you're supposed to shake the hand and you say, talk to me. And then that's when the spirit is supposed to like reveal itself to you or say something to you. So Mia shakes the hand, says, talk to me, and then sees a dead old man right across from her. And she screams and removes her hand, and everyone's laughing and giggling. And they're like, haha, see, it works. And so she tries it again. But this time she says, talk to me. And she says, I let you in. And so Mia gets possessed by this, you know, spirit and starts saying real cryptic shit. Her eyes are like completely blacked over. She's smiling, laughing. And everyone is just like recording this and just giggling about it. Like it's just a silly little game to just invite spirits into your body. And the 90-second timer starts to go off. And as they're pulling her out, the demon like knocks them away and starts just like saying more cryptic shit to people. And so she actually stays over the 90 seconds, which is a big no-no. She does go back to normal and everyone checks in on her and she's like, yo, that was fucking amazing. And it's kind of interesting because I had a friend I was talking to about this who said that they saw a lot of parallels to like heroin usage, basically. I mean, just the feelings that she's describing, the way that she's just really limp. Even the usage of like a belt to restrain her, kind of the same way that you would a arm for heroin usage, is really interesting. And I feel like you can really draw a lot of comparisons and parallels there. So later that evening, Riley, the little brother, I mean, he's like about 16, just for reference here. But the little brother, he's feeling a little scared. So he ends up sleeping with Mia, just laying in bed together and just talking about her mother's death and just feeling afraid, and they bond a little bit. I mean, it seems like Mia is just in general, you know, the supportive other sister for him as well. We also learned that Mia's mother very likely took her own life with some sleeping pills in the bathroom. She says that there were bits of wood under her fingernails, like she was scratching at the door. So it's a little confusing. But in my opinion, and based on what I've read, most people who've experienced that situation or, who have attempted suicide often regret it almost immediately. So that's kind of my understanding of probably what Mia's mom was doing when the scratching at the wall, trying to get help. And so as the night is about to end, we see Riley falling asleep, and Mia puts his headphones away and turns his phone off because he was like watching a video. And then a creepy hand like starts touching Riley's face, and then it cuts to the school the next day. So something's going on with Mia, and it's not a good thing. At the end of the school day, Mia and Jade end up convincing Haley and Joss, the owners of the creepy hand, to come over at late in the night to have a little hand get together. They're gonna sit in a circle and do hand stuff, as these young people do. And later that night, the mom is about to go to work. I guess she works a late shift or something, and she's asking all the kids, "You better not be having a party tonight." And the kids are like, "No, we're not having a party." And of course they are having a party. And, good for her for trying, but I feel like she kind of knew that it was going to happen anyway, and she just wants to make sure that everybody's going to be safe. The reason I even mention this is because I feel like the mom gets a little flack in a lot of the conversations that I've seen. But I feel like, for being a single mom and having these kids who are just, having demon possessions in their house, like, she's pretty fair overall. So at the party later, they're asking about the hand a little bit, where it came from. They got it from somebody else. Some theorized that it was a hand of like a devil worshiper who got cut off, or like a psychic, and that inside the ceramic there's an actual real hand. There's all sorts of just rumors and mysteries. And this film actually is going to get a prequel and a sequel, if you didn't know. So hopefully we will find out, because they don't tell us in this movie, but hopefully we do find out what the fuck this hand is. So Daniel, Jade's boyfriend, who, is not putting out for her, he's the first one to go in this hand experience again. So he lets the spirit in, and the spirit looks at Jade and says he hates when you touch him. And then he starts staring at Mia with some kind of sexy eyes. And then he starts like touching on himself, and he falls over and starts like humping the ground. And then the dog comes in and starts kissing him on the face, and everybody's laughing and recording this. And someone rips the hand from him, and he's quite embarrassed because he was humping the floor. And it's just, very embarrassing for this young man. What follows next is like a party montage scene, which I think is really well done. I mean, every time somebody does the hand, and everybody does it like repeatedly over and over, it's like they're taking a hit of a really strong drug. And it feels very much reminiscent of binge drinking, heroin, just any type of party drug, and they're all just getting super fucked up on it. Finally, at the end of the night, everybody's getting packed up, ready to leave, and Riley, Jade's little brother, says, "Hey, I want to give it a shot." And everyone's pretty against it because he's only 15, which is confirmed in this scene. And he's like, "No, come on, I can do it. How about we just do it for like 50 seconds instead of 90? And Jade seems pretty against it, but Mia ends up convincing them to let it happen. And so he does the talk to me hand thingy-mabob. And so the spirit that he lets in is actually Mia's mom. And he turns to her, speaking as Mia's mom, saying, "I'm so sorry for what happened. I'm so proud of you." And because of this, Mia lets the timer run faster. But all of a sudden, in the middle of that conversation, Riley looks upwards, and I think he's possessed by a different spirit at this point. This is my theory. And so then he just starts slamming his fucking head into the table right in front of him. They try to get the hand away from him, but the spirits like push the fucking chair all the way against the wall, and then he starts slamming his head into like a dresser. He tries to pull his own eyeball out at one point, and they finally do get the hand from him, but he is just fucked up beyond recognition. He is just completely obliterated. He's not dead, but he's very much close to it. Mia is just totally fucked up from the situation. She like is barely processing it. She goes into the bathroom to wipe her hands from the blood of dealing with Riley. They call the cops, the ambulance, and everybody's being interviewed. And Mia is seeing spirits and shit like through the window and just feeling presences around her. So it's not looking good for anybody here. Mia ends up going home afterwards and is confronted by her dad. People are thinking that she gave him something, like some kind of drug that caused him to behave this way, but it's kind of hard to, explain the whole situation with magic demon hand. And so she goes into her room and we see that she has taken the hand herself. She put it in her bag. I guess nobody noticed. And instead of messing with the hand more, she decides to take an Uber over to the hospital to check on Riley. However, Jade and Riley's mom are not having it. Jade's not having it. They're very mad at Mia. Jade's mom thinks that she drugged him or gave him some kind of weird, fucked up, laced drug. And they are just like, please leave. If you don't leave, we're going to call the cops because you fucked up our life here. Riley looks so bad. Just like completely beaten to a pulp, face swollen. He is just obliterated. It's really sad. So Mia is very distressed. She goes to the bathroom while she's at the hospital and she starts still seeing little figments of her mom or hearing her mom. She's clearly in some kind of weird, state of mind where her brain is being influenced by these spirits who I think are bad people. When I first watched this, I wasn't sure because that's kind of the cool thing about this movie is like you're not really sure what's Mia's mom and what's an evil spirit. But just so you know, these are evil spirits for sure. They're basically using the image and idea of Mia's mom to manipulate her. It's more apparent later in the film, but just so you follow a little bit easier, that's kind of what's happening here. Mia ends up running into Daniel, Jade's boyfriend, and he comforts her a little bit. He ends up giving her a ride home, and she asks him to stay with her. He says, that's a little inappropriate since Jade's my girlfriend. And she's like, look, buddy, we're just friends. It's not going to be a big deal. And the reason that he can't really go home right now is because he doesn't want to have to explain the situation to his parents. He is 18, so, they aren't obligated to talk to his parents, the police, or anything like that. And so he ends up spending the night with Mia. And there is just some tension there. They're kind of reminiscing about when they were kids and how they had crushes on each other and they held hands like a single time in elementary school. And there's even like a little engraving that says Mia plus Daniel on like an old dresser. So, this doesn't feel great, Mia. I understand you're under the influence of evil demon spirits, but just, maybe this is not the appropriate time to be spending the night with your best friend's boyfriend. So they both go to sleep. They're sleeping, head to foot. And she starts having some sexy dreams about this motherfucker, mixed in with some dreams about her mother's suicide. We're not even going to try to unpack that combination there. However, she wakes up and then she starts to see one of the spirits, the first spirit that she saw, which is referred to, I think, as the drowned woman, in the corner. And so she gets freaked out and she jumps out of bed and she's looking at this drowned woman. And this drowned woman crawls towards Daniel and just literally, and I say this with very seriousness, she starts sucking toe. She just starts sucking Daniel's toes. She's just grabbing on them grippers with her gums. And so Mia starts freaking out and she's like, what's going on? And Daniel wakes up and he's freaking out. And it's actually Mia possessed sucking on them toes. She is taking that foot and treating it like it's fruit. It's crazy. So yeah, Daniel wakes up. He's obviously very freaked out about the toe sucking he just experienced. And so he leaves. And then, of course, Mia is very upset about this because she didn't realize that she was the one toe sucking. So then the very smart decision by Mia by herself uses the talk to me hand to summon her mother, or who we think is her mother. Definitely a demon spirit manipulating her for sure. And she does this by herself and she summons this mother. And it's not a good idea. So the thing pretending to be her mom says, Riley really needs your help. We don't get additional context on that. And then we see Mia lay down and her ghost spirit mom thing cuddles with her. We then jump to Riley, who is still in the hospital, barely conscious. And when he does become a little bit more alert as he's being bathed by his family, he starts trying to kill himself again. He is just so fucked up, and it's just the spirits maybe are still inside of him or something, but every time he starts to gain full consciousness, he tries to kill himself. So Mia, Jade, Daniel, Haley, and Joss all get together to try to figure out what the fuck they're supposed to do. We learned that they got it from Duckett's brother, Cole. And Cole said that if you die while being possessed, that the spirits have your soul forever. Not sure how he would know that. We also learned that they can impersonate people. So that's a big confirmation that everything that Mia is seeing is probably fake and a scam by these evil spirits. So they decide to hit up Duckett's brother Cole, the survivor of that whole incident at the very beginning of the movie. And they ask him, what's the deal? And he's kind of mad because he feels like his brother was taken advantage of for having possession of the hand, and that they just used him as kind of like a spectacle because it was funny to see him get all fucked up. And he ends up telling them that all they need to do for Riley is to just give him time away from the hand. The spirits will eventually lose their power over Riley and he will just go back to normal. However, Mia is not 100% certain about this. And she thinks that what happened is they didn't blow out the candle when they were doing the whole talk to me thing, which I guess is a necessary component of it. And she thinks that if they redo it and then blow out the candle, it'll fix him. But again, at this point, we don't really know how much of this is like influenced by the ghosts in Mia's head or whatever. So, but all the same, Jade and everyone is just kind of done with Mia's shit at this point because she just kept pushing it and kept trying to do more with this hand. And Haley and Joss, the owners of the hand at this current moment, or who introduced them to it, they're just like, we need to figure something out because this is just ruining people's lives. However, Mia does convince them to give it a shot with Riley again to see if they can close the door. So they get to the hospital, they put his hand in the hand, and they light the candle and blow it out, and nothing's happening. He's still just completely fucked up in a comatose. So Mia thinks maybe they can summon Riley's spirit. Maybe it's like disconnected from his body or something. So she says, talk to me. She does the hand thing. And instead of Riley, it's actually a little girl. It's like a little girl who probably died in the hospital. And she's like, I can show you where Riley is. He's in a lot of pain right now. And so the little girl reverses. She does an Uno reverse. And she says, I let you in. And so Mia goes into the spirit realm. She goes into the spirit world and sees what's happening with Riley. And there is just like an orgy of gross spirit old people naked, just like molesting Riley. Like they're just like rubbing on him all weird. It's a very quick scene, but I slowed it down. And there's like even one lady who's just like fucking eating a baby. Like it's fucking crazy. So Mia gets out of there, totally flipped out. She's like, man, they are like fucking doing weird shit to Riley. We got to get him out. And she like kicks the hand away and just really upset, I guess. She goes home and her father has a conversation with her. He's like, I've kept things from you. I want to talk to you about your mom. And he gives her the note that her mother left them before her suicide. And of course, it's a somber note. It says that she loves them, that she's so sorry that she can't be there with them, and that, she hopes they have ultimate happiness and a great life. And Mia is like hugging her dad and really emotional. And then in the background, we see Mia's mother's spirit, which is actually just an impersonation, saying, that's not true. I didn't kill myself. And so there's this conflict, obviously, with Mia and what her dad is telling her and what the evil spirit version of her mom is telling her. So Mia says, BRB, goes and has a conversation with Mother Dearest, the evil one. And the mom says, that's actually not your dad. That's actually a demon evil spirit monster. And Mia's like, what? And so now we start hearing Mia's dad, who is being impersonated by the spirits, start banging on the door and screaming and being like, let me the fuck in. And we see the audience at the same time. The dad is just chilling in the living room, but Mia thinks that her dad is trying to break down the door and kill her. So Mia's like, what the fuck do I do, Mom? And she's like, you got to kill that motherfucker. And so it's kind of hard to explain, but basically she goes to fight this like spirit impersonation of her father. And as she's struggling with it, her father walks in and is like, what the fuck's going on? And the spirit like almost like syncs the movement of itself with her real father. And she ends up stabbing her real father. The ghost tricked her into stabbing her real father. She stabs him in like the jugular with some fucking scissors. And it's her poor father just like confused this whole time and just, mourning his dead wife, and her, his daughter just fucking stabs him in the jugular. It's not cool. Shortly after this, Mia calls Jade and says, hey, I think I figured it out. I know how to save Riley. just come to my house and I'll explain. And Jade's like, actually, he's doing a lot better. He's actually starting to come to, and it seems like he's not possessed anymore. And Mia's just like, no, he's in pain still. I got it figured out. Just come to my house. This is actually a trick. Mia is planning to go to the hospital and kill Riley. So Jade is going to Mia's house, but Mia is on the way to the hospital. Just as she's about to kill Riley with some scissors, Riley and Jade's mom come in, and she's like, hey, I'm really sorry about how I spoke to you the other day. I know you wouldn't give my son drugs. I don't know what was going on with him, but I love you. You're like a child to me. You're always welcome in my house. You're a good influence on my son. And I really apologize for treating you like that. I love you. And so Mia is a little conflicted now about murdering Riley now that she's had that conversation. So Mia asks for a little alone time with Riley, and as she's looking at Riley, she sees a spirit inhabiting him, like she sees the spirit laying there instead of Riley, and it's like laughing at her, saying that we got him. You can't take him away from us now. And she decides to take him out of the hospital and throw him onto moving traffic, I guess. And the reason that she wants to do this is because I guess it will be so quick versus stabbing him that he'll, I don't know, die, I guess. I don't really understand fully why she decides to do this, but there is a connection with the kangaroo that she didn't kill earlier. So maybe she's like, okay, I didn't kill that kangaroo earlier, but now I got to kill Riley, and I'm going to do it by throwing him into oncoming traffic because I guess that's more humane. I don't know. She's really fucked up. I'm trying to rationalize a really fucked up person's head right now, and it's a struggle. So Jade is at Mia's house now looking for her, but she stumbles upon Mia's father, who's like bleeding out. She calls her mom, says, hey, Mia's fucking lost it. Take care of Riley. And she rushes back to the hospital to try to find Riley and Mia. So Jade ends up encountering Mia and Riley at the edge of a fucking freeway, and there's just cars going by real fast. And Jade is like, yo, Mia, please don't throw my brother in the oncoming traffic. And while this is happening, Mia is still seeing the spirit that's inhabiting Riley's body. She's seeing her mother. Her mother is telling her, hey, come on, do it. I'll be so proud of you. Then we'll have him forever. And so Mia realizes, holy shit, I've been tricked this whole time. And we see a car just driving on this freeway, and then suddenly a body just fucking slams into that windshield. And we're not sure who the body is, but guess what? It's revealed to be Mia. She threw her fucking self into oncoming traffic, just offs herself because I guess she knew that she was too far gone, that the spirits had taken over her. I don't know. I mean, it's implied also that just if you stay away from the hand long enough, that the spirits would just leave you alone. So maybe it was just her way of just instantly getting that out of her so she wouldn't harm anyone else. It's really complicated, and there's a lot of reasons you could assume why she did this, but in the end it was to save Riley. And so we see Mia get up from getting hit by that car, and suddenly as she's walking, she's transported into the hospital. And she's walking through the hospital halls, and suddenly she sees Riley, Jade, and their mom, and he's just looking better. He's doing better. He's just sitting up and just talking to them like he's about to leave. And then all of a sudden she sees her dad walking through the halls. So she starts walking towards her dad, and then she turns again and she sees Jade, Riley, and their mom just leaving the hospital, totally normal. And so what we're seeing is Mia's dead. And time is moving at a much faster pace because, it's the spirit world, I guess. And it's just time just doesn't move the same way that it does for us. And suddenly she is now walking in pitch darkness and she sees a light. And so she starts walking towards that light. And then she sees a hand. And she touches the hand. And then all of a sudden she's in a room. She's in Greece, I believe. And there's all these Greek dudes and people looking at the hand and looking at her, and she's just like, what the fuck? And then he goes, I let you in, and then the movie ends. Ooh, what an ending. I mean, this was definitely technically a downer ending since the main character dies, but I feel like based on all of the decisions that Mia took, she kind of deserved it. I mean, she messed with forces beyond her comprehension and she paid for it, but she did at least save her friends. And now she's a spirit, so maybe she'll come up in the second movie. There's going to be a sequel. And I'm really interested to see what's going on with this hand in the prequel as well. So I'm really looking forward to the Talk to Me franchise. I am trying really hard to find a hand like that, or there's going to be A24 is going to come out with like a hand that you can buy with the DVD collector set. So I'm going to try to get that because I really fucking want that hand. I'm not going to mess with those spirits, but I just really want to see that in my collection. Now on to your new favorite portion of the show, Trick or Trivia.
Put your hand on it. Now say, talk to me.
Trivia number 1. During the production, there were 6 of these Talk to Me hands that were created just in case any of them got damaged or broken. Trivia number 2. There wasn't even a hand in the original script. It wasn't until the second draft of the script that they came up with the idea for the hand. Trivia number 3. Apart from The Exorcist being a huge inspiration for this movie, Danny Philippou was in a pretty bad car accident when he was 16, and as a result, he had a lot of shaking and tremors in his hand because of it. And the inspiration for the connection of that hand for the spirit world was from his own sister, who comforted him and held his hand while it was shaking. And when she did that, the shaking stopped. So this was a very influential thing that happened to him. And so as a result, he felt that that was sort of the ultimate connection that you can make with someone. And that was sort of the inspiration behind making it a hand. That's all I got for you for now. So tune in next season for more Trick or Trivia.
They like you.
Thank you so much again for listening to this podcast. Everyone who tunes in once a week, everyone who tunes in once in a while, or if this is just your first time tuning in, thank you so much for being here. This was a really great season. I had a lot of fun. I have so much fun doing these every week. I have so much fun just talking about horror. And this is just a really awesome personal project for me. And I just want to thank everyone for still being here. And just, I can't believe we're already on to season 3. Season 3 will be starting in October. Perfect timing. And we will be coming up on a year anniversary of We Creeps. So again, from the bottom of my heart, from the bottom of my skeleton, thank you so much. With all that said, don't forget to visit the link tree in the episode description, or just go to wecreeps.com. Gives you sources to all my social media where you can follow me, see me post about horror movie stuff. You can also find merchandise at tpublic.com or support the show directly on Patreon. Thank you so much to my 4 patrons. You're amazing. Yeah, I love you. And I hope that you're hearing this and realize how much I appreciate you. I hope everyone has a really great month. Feel free to DM me, send me interesting things about horror movies or horror movies that you want to see for season 3. But the one thing that you all know that you can't forget over this next month is to stay spooky out there.